Good morning, my people. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Wherever you're listening from, welcome to Soul Matters with Ambrose. And this episode of Soul Matters, I will be honest with us. This is one of the most difficult episodes to record. And that is why I've stayed so long to do this. You know, I'm not going to bring anything half-baked, anything that is no original thought, anything that doesn't come from the place of love, absolute genuinity. Is there anything like genuinity? Yeah, well, absolute sincerity on something that comes from my heart that wants to go straight to your soul. If it's not touching the soul, then I would absolutely not be comfortable doing that. So, clarity. Actually, it's a shadows, and I actually want to see a different perspective to what life brings to us, what our soul has come to, and what the meaning of our lives can be when we draw from a deeper place of clarity. So, this particular episode stretched me. But before then, guys, I had an amazing. Someone said I always have amazing. I mean, what's there not to be amazing? I had an amazing trip round. I love traveling into the depth of places where it seems everything else is disconnected. So I will give us a little gist about that. So on this trip, I had the opportunity of being somewhere I've not been before, and I saw this wonderful couple who have been busy building their businesses for the last 48 years. Yes, get me right, 48 years. And it's such a joy to see that they still maintain the same passion. So their business has to be a tourism business. And when the time is right, when they say, hey, come and do it, I will do it. But for now, it is just an underground thing of building. They wanted this secluded place for like minds to come and think, to come and explore, to come and reason together, to come and just immerse themselves in nature, immerse in nature, that immerse in art. God, this couple loved art. What is with rich people and art, Seth? Oh, but I admire their sense of purpose. I admire the fact that they've been each other's sweetheart for that long, and they still share something that, I mean, it's wonderful. It's me, Ambrose. I mean, before you guys come for me and said, Ambrose, you want to do the love doctor thing. Yeah, should we do something on love doctor kind of thing? Yeah, no, I'll talk to the love doctor and see if we can do that. But hey, soul matters. I mean, your soul can be your soul if it's not connected in love. Think about it. All right, good morning. Let's get to the onus of it. So today we're talking about shadows, the deep side or the dark side of clarity. Yes, the dark side of clarity. Clarity is an overrated or an overbloated comment, especially in the corporate world. I hate to hear people say that because they really don't know what they're saying. And sometimes they bullshit their way out of the truth, they bullshit their way out of knowledge, especially those guys who stand up easy and say, let me provide clarity to this matter. They don't have clarity, mostly, not all the time anyway. But wait, before we go into that, have you thought about the advent of shadow or shadows? Shadows sometimes, for me, what I think is a fascinating exploration of absence. Something that is but is not, right? And then it is the perception interplay between light and darkness. Shadows have intrigued me over the years. I love shadows. And during my course of studying metaphysics or trying to understand perspectives of shadows, what people think about it, I explore a philosopher called Carl Jung. Carl is a psychologist actually, and he describes shadow as the unconscious part of the psyche that contains repressed or hidden aspects of ourselves. Embracing and integrating this shadow is essential for personal growth and personal awareness. I don't want to go deep, but from Carl's perspective, from what I see, is that part that we're expressing, a part that usually has developed over time in our subconscious. So, for instance, I want to explore the topic of performance management. Intrinsically, I must have learned this thing over the years. I must have internalized the subject matter. If I'm coming to you for the first time with this knowledge, I'll provide a shadow based or shadowless part of it because I don't have the depth of what can interplay me between the truth of it, between the absolute understanding of it, and between the light understanding of it. So that is what Carl says. And I mean, for philosophers like my guy Roy Sorenzi, his own part of, looking at a shadow is more like an anomaly in the causal theories of perception. Don't worry if you're not getting it yet. When we get into understanding what clarity brings out of it, you see, that's the game. So you get to understand as you learn. A shadow basically just say, oh, there's absence of light here. If there's no light shining on a particular topic, you are just seeing the shadow of it. And the traditional idea of this he challenged, Sorenzi challenged it, and he said that how we see and understand the world is basically reliant, or it's 100% relying on the number of lights that are shined or shone on our shadows. Something like that. Now, understanding that the complexities of shadows cannot be fully explored with just one podcast, but this represents the hidden truth or the dark aspect of existence. And this, even in art and literature, can add to the creativity and the depth of revealing of anything. Shadows, both literal and metaphorical, invite us to question what we see and what remains unseen. So, why shadow? Why clarity? That is where we are going to. And today on this episode, I want us to do something significantly that will change our life to some extent, especially on the aspect of clarity that will intrigue you as you proceed in life. Sometimes clarity is seen as, the essential part of our life because it fosters somewhat I will put it as either it fosters a debate or a collaboration, but without clear communication, discussions mostly are obscured and unproductive. So if you're listening to this podcast now and you're wondering, where is he heading to? What is he saying? What am I going to get from this? Your obscurity is still there. So by the end of this conversation and you don't still have clarity, it means the enough light has not been casted on the shadow that bewildered your mind. Right? So the power of clarity is what I want us to pick out of here if you want to learn something. And sometimes the power of clarity can mislead profoundly. When ideas are presented in apparent simplicity, they can also be a trap. Sometimes some people present ideas in apt simplicity and confidence. They'll tell you that if you can explain it to a 5-year-old, it doesn't make sense. Come on. Okay, now that's debatable, right? So I'm going to build a skyscraper that has 7 turning points, over 100 fire exits, 2,000 bathrooms or 200 bathrooms for minimalization, and you are telling me to explain it to a 5-year-old. In oversimplifying it, I might lost all the context of the structural engineering that will go into it, of the maybe air dynamics I'm going to use to keep it stable. So these things, sometimes when you oversimplify with confidence, you lost the taste and the aptness of it. And that is not saying we should not simplify. Simple is better. Complex is bad, right? Yin yang, if you miss it that way. And now, so we're going to explore all these aspects of. First, let's look at the aspect of clarity that can mislead people. In this sense, people are trying to get you to know something. And the power of clarity to mislead is subtle, most times also profound. When ideas are presented this way, there's an illusion of understanding or truth. And it can be exploited this way. Number one, it can be oversimplification, which I just mentioned. Complex issues are reduced to sound bites like slogan. We win when we win. We go where we go. You understand? Leading people to believe that when the moment you grasp the hold of this, the whole picture is not necessary. And in that case, the whole picture will now be missing the critical nuances. So, if you want to absolutely get clarity, when people are coming to you with a slogan that says, oh, we win when, and it's so easy, look for the nuances that are not there, right? Now, the second one is selective presentation. Sometimes, by presenting the part of the truth, the frame clearly and convincingly, sometimes, or mostly, and the important counter argument or border concepts totally obscured. So, selective presentation in the sense that the aspect which they don't want you to see is not presented often. And when you seek deeper understanding to clarify, of course, their counter argument becomes baseless. So, you watch out for that. And the last, but the funny one, which people use mostly in relationship, I have seen, is emotional manipulation. This time, they are clear and persuasive, but they have rhetoric appeals, right, that goes directly to the emotion. At that point, they bypass critical thinking and help you to accept a flawed bias. There's an example that is coming to my head. But hey, bro code is bro code, man. I can't give my bros up. But yeah, as bad as it is, or as, let me not say bad, as manipulative as it is, right? Not presenting something in a clear logic, which men are used to, but presenting it in a way that goes into your emotion. Just for the sake of clarity, because we're dealing with clarity, not to cast a shadow and do exactly what I am trying to tell you, I will bring up an example and really against this. I think it's weak for any man who raises his hand to beat a woman. For me, in the aspect of man, you are not properly defined. It means your manhood is zero. And that's the truth. Take it or leave it. That's the truth. Now, for a man who raises his hand on his woman, and tell her, it's because you are like this, it's because you're not living up to an expectation. And then she's like, no, it is not right for you to do this, even to a fellow human. And the communication brings it to a place where the persuasion of the woman is like, no, sometimes I need to do this for you to know that this is the right way assertion is being held. Bull crap. Bull what? Crap. So that is the emotional manipulation that covers clarity. The logic says don't. That is the right logic. Any logical mind thinks it. So appealing and diving into the emotional part of, I love you. That's why, all those crap, the build up, and then you're emotionally manipulated. So that in this point, you can see that clarity being misled in a way is seen as a virtue, right? And it can be wielded into tools of deception for people. So how do we safeguard ourselves against this, or be misled by people to go out of logic or to go out of clarity? Explain to me. No, I have time. I want to hear the details of it. No. Why? No, leave the emotional parts. Don't go into my emotions. Tell me. When there's selective presentation, tell them, no, I have time for the details. Show me the numbers. Even in business, it is something you need. So when somebody bamboozles you with all the fanciness and selective presentation, you see that slide, they are skipping quick. They don't want to go into the details of it. Yes, let them open it. Spend time on it. Ask the right questions. And that is where your intuition of good questioning becomes a very powerful tool. So that way, we get absolute clarity. For me, I know someone who knows how to explore clarity from the quality of question they ask. Now, on another part, clarity, if properly used, has the power to illuminate. And it lies in its ability to cut through confusion and reveal the truth. It transforms complexity into something approachable, right? Making it possible to grasp ideas that might feel unreachable. This illumination can bring, about profound understanding and foster deeper connection. So, what are the ways you know this is clarity in its pure form? When somebody can simplify complexity. Clarity helps you break down, meaningful ideas, intricate concepts, opening doors to learning and discovering more, right? And clarity also enhances communication, right? It ensures that the intention and arguments are understood. And this is why you should not be against argument. So I always get fascinated with my friends that when we bring up a topic and we argue fiercely about it, sometimes the fierceness of the argument is just, for me, it's an amusement. But mostly it's the intricate parts that are being brought up in a debate. So I think it's also healthy, even in the workplace, to understand that this enhancing communication from this particular aspect to get clarity sometimes create arguments, sometimes create debate, sometimes have opposing views. It works even in relationships. I think this works. When people have opposing views, you can counterplay on these views and you get your result as it's supposed to be. And lastly, enlightenment, promoting enlightenment. Be it science, be it art, be it business, be it family, be it anything. Clarity acts as a beacon, guiding us towards truth and wisdom. The more clarity you have, the more wisdom you possess, and the more truth you know. when we're wielded with responsibility, right? Clarity encourages us to grow. It sparks our curiosity and it empowers us, most importantly, my favorite part, to think critically. It is like turning on a light in the room. You begin to see not only what's there, but also the possibility of what it holds, right? What aspect of clarity do you think inspires you? For me, it's a turn of the light. But for me, it's also the endless possibilities that can be explored on a topic or on a subject matter. You remember the story I told us at the beginning of the year? And I don't want to crescendo this down yet because I want to give us a daily thinking that works before we close up. So I'm going to tell you that story. Somebody should remind me. Okay, so in everyday life, right, for you to get clarity, define your goals. You've heard this a million times. I'm going to do selective presentation this one, but just define your goals, simplify your complexities, right? Break down intricate ideas or your tasks into smaller manageable parts and ask yourself, what is the essence of this, right? Now ask questions. I love people who ask questions. You know, that's why, especially in talking stage, there are millions of questions. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not a relationship expert. God forbid I'm not good at it. But I can put one or two down there, right? No, I'm good at it. Come on, you should pay me to be your therapist. So, ask questions. I love people who ask questions. A lot of them. So why is this? So why is that? So why is this? If this is this, so why is that? So, okay, if you get here, so why? How? You know, those questions help you to uncover hidden biases and gaps in understanding. So ask good questions, not just questions, ask questions. And then there's a part I like, which I developed recently, prioritizing precision in language. The words you choose. Clear, simple language reduces ambiguity. I used to be accused of being overtly ambiguous because I was thinking, my thinking direction is always not one on my thinking direction rather undermines the intelligence of other people. And I'm not saying there are lower intelligence, okay, that people, maybe I'm being modest, there are, but sometimes I tend to have that ambiguity in conversation. So I prioritize precision in language. So clarity, right? So my thoughts can be communicated effectively. And I know this one is hard though, even for you that you're listening to this podcast. It's not up to 1 hour, but you have left this podcast for more than 5 minutes or 5 times, 10 times. You have gone to Instagram, you have gone to WhatsApp, Snapchat, nobody's snapping you. You have checked Pinterest for that dress you will never buy. You and then you have chatted someone up, you'd made a call, you've gone. So practice active listening. We no longer listen, and it's bad. You know, I was listening to Simon Snake recently, and he was talking about people who communicate until having a conversation on their phone is a major distraction. You see, while they're talking to you, they keep looking at their phone. I wish this is visual so you get to see how that is being demonstrated. You look at their phone, look at you, and then the phone rings, and I'm like, oh no, I'm not going to take that. Oh please, Mr. and Mrs. Magnanimous, you could have as well just put the phone away and listen, right? Listen, actively listening. So while interacting with others, focus fully on understanding their perspective before responding. We listen to respond most times. I mean, this is a common thing that we know, right? So, and when they are done, to show that you listen, summarize their point for clarity. This is top notch. And lastly, reflect and refine. So take time to review your decision on a conversation, and as straightforward as they could be, could something be misinterpreted? So when you're communicating with someone and you think this is going to be a further argument or anything, right? So take time to look at it, reflect on this conversation by cultivating clarity, right? In our everyday thinking, we'll become sharper, more effective, more impactful, and would have found situation where we can take away the challenges that comes from lack of clarity. And I'll give you a few of them. Again, selective presentation, right? So, but I'm a bit depth on this. Workplace mixed communication. It happens a lot of time. Decision making being poor and biased, you know about, and conflicts in relationship and complex systems or process. For example, a poorly worded user manual can confuse people trying to assemble your product. So clarity is the cornerstone that prevents us from spiraling into bigger issues, right? And I would advise something as I close. Calm communication. It's a valuable skill that have helped me to foster understanding, resolve conflict, and maintain positive relationships where I can. It involves staying composed and express yourself clearly, even in tense emotional situations. How can you cultivate calm emotion? Pause before reacting. Take a moment of breath. Gather your thoughts before responding. This helps prevent your impulse reaction that can escalate situation. Use a calm tone. I know you are feisty. I know, yes, you can shout, but hey, some people left this WhatsApp group. I don't want to call their names, but it's fine. Use a calm tone. The way you say something matters as much as the words that is being chosen or said. You remember that. A steady, soothing tone conveys confidence and respect, right? Focus on the I statement, right? Instead of blaming or accusing, express how you feel. For example, you can say, I feel concerned when, rather than say, you always do this. See, I feel concerned when you change your tone in this conversation. You always change your tone in this conversation. See the difference? And then, of course, we've talked about active listening already. Give people full attention, right? Not paraphrase, ask clarity questions, right? And the end or part of the onus of this, right, is be solution oriented. Body language matters, and practice empathy. Calm communication can diffuse even the most heated exchange and build trust over time, right? And know that there are perspective thinking on different aspects. People look at things differently. Always consider your opposing views. Shift the time frame. Think about how the situation might be perceived differently in the future. So not now. And always have empathy in action. For me, this is the biggest part of it. We having empathy in action. For whatever reason, you will not clarify life. You will not clarify situations if we truly are not empathic or truthful about what we're doing. Right? So as the shadow is gently or gradually turned into light, as that next argument of yours, you have decided to give it a calmer tone, as you have chosen to welcome the next argument in your situation or in your relationship or in your business with more clarity, as you have decided to give that business slide another look just to gain clarity. I hope I have been able to take away the veil, cast some little light on your shadow. And if I've done that, engage in this podcast. This is Soul Matters by Ambrose. And as we always close, take a moment, close your eyes. What is there that has been a confusing part of your life? That has been a shadow that you need a light on? Think about it for a moment and say, I know in this, as dark as it may seem, light has shone on me, and I will continue to walk in this light. Did I hear someone say amen? And amen to that. Okay. See you on the next episode. We'll cook something as usual. Keep coming back. Just keep engaging. This is a manual. It is not a podcast you just listen once and go away. You will need clarity. Just come back to it. Have a wonderful week. Did I say I love you? Yes, I do. Zozo. Bye.